3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Happy Easter! Or, happy Zombie Jesus Day, whichever way you...
Hashtag he is risen.
He is risen indeed. but thank you for listening to The Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here, and I'm joined with the pride of Idaho. I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing, sir?
Howdy, y'all.
Very nice. And by the way, to you, man, happy start of a new baseball season. I am...
Thanks.
As long as the Dodgers don't repeat, and I put repeat in quotes because there's an asterisk next to that World Series title. Come at me all you want. I'm pulling for your Angels, man.
Oh, what a guy! It probably won't happen because it's just a disappointment of a club. But every year, it's like maybe this is the year. Maybe they get some pitching and then they don't. So, anyways, we're talking about movies here. These people don't want to hear about sports.
I mean, you know, there are sports. I mean, people listen to Ben Simmons, so I mean, you know what the fuck I mean?
True.
That's right. Ben Simmons sucks. I said it, but anyway,
coming out with the hot takes.
That's not really. It's not really a hot take, but I also hate Boston with every fiber of my being. But that's a whole other thing. Anyways, but what we're talking about today is something that came out on HBO Max. It is in theaters now. We're talking about Godzilla vs. Kong, which I can't believe we're getting Godzilla vs. Kong.
I know, it's like such a random release to me.
Yeah, it definitely is, but you know, I have plenty to say about this movie. That's what I will say.
The Monsterverse.
Right, yes, because everything's a universe now. Cause,
yeah, thanks a lot, Marvel.
Right, like it is really funny to think, you know, because obviously you have to blame Marvel for that, right. But it's in that same way that Harry Potter started splitting, you know, books into two parts.
Yep.
And then, you know, it's like, well, Hunger Games would do it. Well, Divergent would do it. It's like, fuck. Yes, they did. It's like, oh my God. So, you know, you see it done correctly once and everyone goes, oh, that can't be hard. And it's like, well, all right. So,
let's milk this shit for all it's worth.
Exactly. But I'll say for me, the 2014 Godzilla, which Colin and I reviewed, we both weren't crazy about that.
Are we talking about Skull Island?
No. So actually, we're getting there.
Okay,
so
sorry, continue.
No, you're good. So the 2014 Godzilla, that's one with Bryan Cranston, Aaron Taylor Johnson, aka the second best Quicksilver, and Elizabeth Olsen.
He's known as.
He is, and that 2014 Godzilla was a disappointment for me personally because the moment Cranston gets killed, I think the movie just falls apart. And it's a very dark film as far as how it's shot, so it's just hard to, you know, appreciate a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But then we get to Kong Skull Island, which for me, far and away, is by far the best, quote, MonsterVerse film up to that point. Samuel L. Jackson is fucking amazing in that shit, playing the villain, which was so good. You get, you know, Brie Larson, you get Tom Hiddleston, meow. You get John C. Reilly, you have John Goodman, who, you know, I stand by what I say about that man. I think he's one of the best actors we have working. Righteous Gemstones, just another reason to watch that show. But Kong Skull Island was great and a really pleasant surprise. So then we get Godzilla King of Monsters, and I actually just listened to our review of that, which Colin and I did. And I remember I was fighting sleep in that movie. Like, I was really like, oh man, I could take a nap right now. Like, it's too long, and it's just not good. Like, I know people are like, but monsters. It's like, okay, you know, you're making the Transformers argument. Like, but there's robots. Like, could you give me a plot or a movie that I'm somewhat interested in watching? And
let me just ask you really quickly: Are we including the 2005 King Kong in the monster universe, or is that separate? Would you say?
I would say that's separate.
Okay.
I'm just counting I would say count the 2014
Gotcha.
Godzilla on.
Okay.
But yeah, King Monsters just has several problems, including Kyle Chandler. I don't give a shit anyone says, and I've been in this argument. It seems like for a minute about this, but I just think Kyle Chandler sucks. I just think he's really bad in pretty much everything he's in.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but he's in Friday Night Lights. All right, cool. But I just like, I know Coach Taylor. He's never been my cup of tea personally. But
I think he's fine. He's just one of those he's like one of those least memorable famous actors. Like he's somebody that will fill a role but you won't remember him at all. You're not going to see that movie and go, he was the best part.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's really frustrating because he's so much of a piece in King of Monsters, where he's basically the most important human in that movie. Which, you have Bradley Whitford and Ken Watanabe, and Kyle Chandler's the most important fucking person.
Right.
Like, give me a fucking break,
right.
And I didn't even include Sally Hawkins in that. But we get to Godzilla vs. Kong, and this is directed by Adam Wingard, who's actually done a couple films I fucking adore. He did that film, The Guest, which if you've not seen The Guest, please watch The Guest. The Guest is amazing. Mm-hmm. He also did You're Next, which is a great fucking film as well. So it's not like this guy is, talentless or anything like that. But
he's not like a renowned director per se. Like if you look at his, filmography as a director, nothing really jumps off the page as like a blockbuster, like nothing is really. Blair Witch maybe, but that's a remake anyway, so I don't know. I would say The Guest. I would say The Guest is the exception to that, because that is a movie that really came honestly from nowhere, and actually that's something we should review if you haven't seen that. The Guest is fucking great. But we get to this movie, and obviously doing, a smaller, more independent horror film versus, a giant budget film like this are two completely different animals. And we've seen many smaller independent filmmaker attempt to do something on this scale and fucking fail. Like we've seen it, dozens of times. But I will say, it doesn't happen here. Like, this film is not a failure, which, I'll be real, is a pleasant surprise. Yeah, absolutely. We should talk about our expectations, because mine were low going into this.
Same.
And
Same.
So I saw Skull Island, and I didn't love it. I thought it was kind of dumb.
Really? Oh, I love Skull Island. That's so sad. Oh.
Yeah, I remember that was one of those movies I remember vividly, because you guys were kind of real excited about it afterwards, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't really love it. But yeah, so it was like, and then, a lot of these like monster movies, they're like hit and miss. Obviously, you've got like the kaiju universe. We'll just bring another universe into it with Pacific Rim. Obviously, love that. Can't talk about that one enough, and you'll continue to hear about it for the remainder of my
love Pacific Rim.
But there's like such a, you can really swing and miss on these, and like you said, bringing in kind of, for me, it's a bit of an unknown director. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I put a different spin on an action movie that you wouldn't quite expect, and that sometimes that unexpectedness is like kind of a pleasant surprise. But yeah, I going into it, I was like, okay, low expectations, very low expectations.
Yeah, and same, man. Like, for me, I went in the... Now, I did see the trailer, and I will say the trailer made me go, oh, shit, okay, you might actually get this right. Because the thing I love about Kong Skull Island for me is, out of all these MonsterVerse films, it's the one film that has good human characters. Tom Hiddleston is great in that. We talked about Samuel L. Jackson getting this genuine obsession over I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
Right.
Like he stopped just short of saying that. You have John Goodman, who you find out tricked them all to be there, which you go, wow,
Right.
fucking cold ass move.
Right.
Like there are multiple human plots in that. And John C. Reilly getting off the island after crash landing there, and that scene of him going home, I went, son of a bitch, that's an actual emotionally well done scene.
Yep.
So take everything that I just said and don't apply it here because my God, if there's one complaint I have about this movie, man, the human characters suck ass.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that from you, actually.
Dude, every time a human was on screen, I was like, I could not give a fuck less. Like that was maddening to me at this point. And dude, it was so irritating.
And
it's,
it's interesting that you say that because the cast is, fairly star-studded as far as like some of these monster action movies go. Like Millie Bobby Brown, obviously we know her from Stranger Things. Brian Tyree Henry.
And Drake's phone. But
Drake's phone. True. Technically,
yeah, that
true.
Too.
Julian Dennison, who I love, like I love him in everything. He's been in Deadpool. He was in Hunt for the Wilder
People.
Wilder People.
Yeah,
that's right, which I loved.
I actually really enjoyed that movie.
And of course, Kyle Chandler, which we all love.
Yeah, huge fan.
I'm interested to hear you say that, but I actually agree with you on a certain level. I think that like this is not Millie Bobby Brown's best role. Like,
okay.
This was it wasn't cringeworthy. I won't go that far. I'm not going to put her down like that because there are worse performances, and we'll get to those. But it was kind of a bummer,
Yeah. So okay, let's go through the plot here, let's see how challenging this is going to be. So
there's a couple monsters, right?
So there are a couple monsters fighting. They have to go to Hollow Earth to get this energy to power this hidden secret that this organization's been building. And if you really can't figure out why they need this power, come on, man.
Join the club.
So, and I'll be real, that's really the plot. I gave you more plot than the film basically gives you.
Yeah, it's basically they need, so they have Kong in captivity at this point, right? And they basically use him to Godzilla's making another comeback, and he's starting to destroy some shit. Come to find out, it's because of this Apex company program, and they're using this mysterious, powerful force energy thing that they find in the hollow depths of the earth. So they need Kong basically to help help fight Godzilla, because at this point he's the main bad guy.
Yeah. So okay, a couple things here. So this movie, whenever Godzilla and Kong are on screen, I went, "Oh man, I'm digging this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really digging this."
Yeah.
But the problem is, there's humans in this, and the humans are just not. They just, what it's like, Scott. It would be like if you got a delicious, like chocolate shake, and you're like, "Oh man, the chocolate shake is delicious," and every 2 or 3 sips, there'd be salt in there for some reason. You go, "What the fuck?" Like it's the humans are the salt in this delicious monster shake, because every so often the humans pop back on screen and go,
mm-hmm.
"Oh hey, we're here," and you go, "Oh fuck, that's right, we have to address the humans here." And it's so weird that Alexander Skarsgård is in this, because while his character Nathan Lind, is the one who goes ahead and contributes. Wrote the book on Hollow Earth. Literally wrote the book on Hollow Earth, which, by the way, that is something that I just rolled my eyes at, because not just because of that, but because And I'm blanking on the character's name, but Corey Hawkins, who's in Kong Skull Island, who's that young, the young brother who was Dr. Drain straight out of Compton. He was actually the one who introduced the Hollow Earth theory. So I was like, oh, cool. Another white guy profiting off of a black guy's original idea. Shocker. But even when he's explained the Hollow Earth thing, it doesn't really even feel like he buys it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, well, if you've dedicated this much of your life to it, I'd like you to be a little dedicated to you going, oh, well, yeah, this is a thing. But he even seems kind of like, well,
and like, so they try to draw more of an emotional connection because his brother, I believe, dies, searching for it. And there's this whole, gravitational field you have to get through to get there. But yeah, once I heard that, like, that's kind of like part of my main problems with this movie is like, first things first, like there's an expectation that you should have seen at least the last movie. I feel like
I would say the last two.
The last two.
Sure.
I just feel like if you're gonna make something like this, like this isn't Iron Man 3 where you're like, okay, there's a 1 and a 2 before this. We should probably you probably don't need to catch people up the same way. Whereas like this one, the only catching up you saw was like in the intro credits where they kind of went through, a few major plot lines as the credits were going by, which I appreciated, but
I did too.
They like went forward as though you're supposed to know like the inner depths of this monster verse, and I was like, I wasn't lost, but it really like pulled me out of it. And then they're like explaining it, and then they come to this Hollow Earth theory, and it's like, really, like so we're just gonna go for it. Basically, it's like it's Godzilla versus Kong, and we're just gonna, it's like the most fantastical idea ever. And then we're just going to throw in the idea that the center of the earth is actually a dystopian, like Kong, birthplace here. So which
by the way,
ridiculous.
like full spoilers, by the way, in case it wasn't obvious at this point, because I have to dig into what I personally, had issues with. But no, you're 1,000% correct.
I just feel like for movies like this, the point of it is the action, and you want to see these two ginormous beasts battling each other. That's the main point of this. Nobody gives a fuck about like the subplots of these human characters and like their mission. That you're there for that. So I just hate when they try to complicate it with all this unnecessary expectation that you know all this backstory about it, when that's not what we're here for. We're here to see a big ass gorilla fighting a dinosaur. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say about Kong, it's the best Tyler Perry's ever looked. But outside, but I could know myself. But
I wish I had I wish I had some sound effects to play after that shit.
Right, boing, boing, there you go. but so there are several things about this movie I think we do need to bring up. First off, the cinematography is fucking gorgeous. Like whenever you're at Hollow Earth, or you're seeing Kong, or you're seeing Godzilla, cinematography is great.
Yeah,
it's genuinely beautiful.
And this is shot in 4K as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So it really, you are able to see all the things that make you go, oh shit. And I actually really appreciate the scale of Godzilla and Kong, because now, no reason for you to really notice, but he is bigger here than he was in Kong Skull Island. And I went, okay, I appreciate the fact that he's, quote, grown, unquote.
Yeah.
I really like that. The movie, as far as its starting point, it just starts off on such a weird note, because Madison, who's played by Millie Bobby Brown, and her dad, Mark, played by Kyle Chandler, him and her have this argument, like basically to start off the film. And, she's like, whoa, why are they doing this? Why are they screwing around with Godzilla? And Mark drops his whole...
Because she's been listening. She's like a conspiracy theorist, right? That's like part of her thing.
Yes.
Like, and that's why she listens to Bernie, who is also a conspiracy theorist who worked for Apex.
Exactly. And I laughed really hard at Mark going, creatures like people can change. She's going like, he would never hurt us. I'm like, okay, this is a giant creature that you're putting, your faith in. So
should we cover like the end of the last Godzilla? Like, so did they like make a deal with Godzilla? Like, were we cool at that point? Like,
basically Godzilla was like, I help save you, you're welcome, and then just like walked away.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
Because the film kind of begins where Godzilla is coming back and he's starting to fuck some shit up again.
Yeah. So that leads us to the whole Titan Truth podcast, which I will admit I did giggle at the logo because it's very reminiscent of the 90s Godzilla logo, like almost to a T. And I went, that's a clever Easter egg. Like, I actually appreciate that. But again, we talk about Brian Tyree Henry playing Bernie. They try to give him some emotion, oh, I lost my wife. That's why I hold this liquor in this flask, which I remember. Yeah, which I went, come on, brother, really? And the way that alcohol is used at the end of this movie, oh, I'm gonna get to that shit, because that was something I went, give me a fucking break. But
which is, I mean, it goes to your point of kind of like the human element and like the character development. Like, things happen really quickly for these these characters. Like, Madison meets Bernie pretty quickly, who she's already friends with Josh, and I like Josh in this. I think he's a good character. He adds a little bit of comic relief to everything. But the way that they get together and she just like goes around asking about him, basically, tries to find this guy who is like very paranoid and doesn't want to be found and has this like really weird, I don't know, it's just like he's like such an awkward, Bernie is such an awkward guy. I'm not gonna even point to him as being like any sort of problem in this movie as a whole, but just the way that they meet is so like I don't know. They just fall together. Everything just kind of falls together, and that kind of leads me to like, we'll get into my gripes about it, but like the way that they are able to kind of infiltrate Apex and things like this, we'll get into that.
So Madison. Okay, so Madison's a bitch, straight up. She's an absolute bitch. This whole fucking movie. Josh steals his brother's van to go ahead and have her and him go on a road trip.
Madison just takes over too. Like,
dude, thank you. So that I have that in my notes right here. So he shows up with the van and she gets out. He immediately takes the keys, immediately gets in the driver's side, is going to leave him when he goes, "Are you coming?"
And
he's like trying to get. Yeah, and he's trying to get the van door open, and she's pulling out, and I'm like, God damn, bitch! Like, come on now. And I'm supposed to like her,
right?
And the thing is, in King of the Monsters, she was just as annoying, but he's gotten older and still doing this shit. And Josh brings up a really good point of why are we going, Lord knows where to find Bernie. We just had an assembly about this, which is one of their attempts at humor. And she just shrugs that shit off and goes, well, I believe him. If I don't help him, who's going to? And I went, well, what if he's full of shit? He could just be wrong. So her putting this much faith in him, I went, all right, that's all right. For me, I really didn't like Josh, man. And it's not because of Julian. It's not the actor's fault. But it's the same thing with Bernie. They just don't give him shit to do. And he's just made to look like a douche.
Yeah, he gets kind of run over in this movie.
constantly by her. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's really is Madison really is a giant steamroller
Mm-hmm.
to the two guys in
Yeah.
their tandem. And it really comes across like that the whole way. Even though at the end of the movie she's really fucking useless because she's like, "Oh my god, Godzilla's in trouble," and I went, "Well, all right, you could, try to do something," but she's yelling at the two of them like, "Are you hacking the computer?" I went, "Well, have you looked up anything on hacking? Like, are you just gonna just stand there and yell instructions? Like, all right, apparently that's all this is, but cool." We do have to talk about other human characters. We have Maya Simmons, who's played by Isa Gonzalez, who you know from most likely from Baby Driver. She was in I Care a Lot, which I still need to review. I Care a Lot's actually really great.
And
She was in
I think
Bloodshot.
she was terrible in this. I'm just gonna get out of the way. I think
Yeah.
she comes in and like it's very clear that they needed like somebody really pretty to play like one of these roles. So they like bring her in. She's just kind of she plays a backseat role as her character does, kind of to everything. Um, and just is like kind of along for the ride and just like is just really bad in this. Like the acting, there's some emotional parts where like she's kind of a villain more or less.
Oh, she is.
But
Yeah.
like it she did not sell it. I think she was my least favorite character in this.
So that's funny. Like she has shown charisma. Like I said, Baby Driver.
Yeah,
I Care a Lot.
Baby Driver was my number 2 of 2017. That was my number.
It was.
Yeah. So like this, I like her as an actress. It just was. This was not the role for her.
It really wasn't. And to your point, by the time she's able to show a little personality as far as being a villain, she gets killed immediately after. And I was like, oh, all right, well, cool. I guess we didn't need her.
Right.
So as far as other stuff, there are just these things that I just roll my eyes at. So Kaylee Hoddle plays Gia, whose parents got killed in King of the Monsters, and she got adopted by Eileen Andrews, who's played by Rebecca Hall, who's an actress that I just fucking love. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like she's always it's just in thankless shit, you know what I mean? Where I see her and I go, "Oh, cool, you're in this. Oh, I wish I did more of you." Fuck. I mean, Iron Man 3, I enjoyed her in, even though they incredibly reduced her role, which they shouldn't have done. Yeah. But The Town, BFG, Teen Spirit, which I actually just bought the soundtrack for. Huge fan of Rebecca Hall. And I will say, out of the human characters, and I admit this is admittedly a low bar to clear, the relationship between her, and Jaya is the only thing I kind of even remotely gave a shit about on the human side,
right? And
because
and Gia's connection with Kong too, like that was the most believable emotional connection was between a young girl and a mutant ape,
which just points to the giant issues of the human cast.
Agreed.
Because my fucking god, like how. And let's keep in mind, so she actually is a mute actress. She actually is.
Oh, really?
Is deaf? Yeah, she actually is, and
that's impressive.
And I gotta say, yes, admittedly, the whole, and I even called this when I saw the trailer and they show her holding like the doll of Kong and went, "Oh gosh, she's gonna use sign language to talk to fucking Kong, isn't she?" And exactly, like you see Kong sign home. I went, "Oh Christ, okay." But
I like that part. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you?
Yeah, that's the only emotional part that was like available to me in this movie. Let's get to some things that we like, because you said the jump that this wasn't a failure, right? That this wasn't something that like I personally I'll just say I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would.
Okay.
One thing was it was relatively short. And
yes, thank God. It's under 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like hour 30. It was like hour 45 minus the credits. It was like hour 30 of actual movie. And I appreciated that. Like, they had to rush a lot of the human element here, but like I did appreciate that they were trying to keep it clean and concise.
Agreed.
I liked the twist in the extent that at the end of kind of the new enemy here. Now, the way that they described that enemy, I mean, we're doing spoilers here, so like
We are.
the Mechagodzilla,
Mechagodzilla,
excuse me. That the how that developed was ridiculous. But the fact that it wasn't like a true it was a true Kong versus Godzilla, and there were moments for that, but it didn't accumulate into that where they ended up having to help each other, which I like that. I did enjoy that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. I don't know if you're ready to get into that yet, but
yeah, let's go there. So I timed it. It's about 40 minutes in till you get your first Godzilla vs. Kong fight, which is too fucking long, by the way. Like a third of the way in the fucking movie. But my God, once you get it, holy balls, is it awesome. Like there's a shot of Kong swimming underwater, which is where he would have the advantage. You see him and Kong fighting each other, and you see Kong. There's a shot of Kong looking down from the ship he's on, and Godzilla pops up, and I'll be real, I was mid bong hit when I saw it. I was like, God damn!
That was such a cool fight scene. Kong jumping from ship to ship, and Godzilla just destroying everything in its path. That was a pretty incredible scene.
It really was. And that first fight goes on for almost 10 minutes. I went, okay, that really worked. When they do get to Hong Kong, that's the real big, all bets are off fight. And there's this part where Kong uses two buildings. He grabs two buildings to like springboard himself off of and gives fucking Godzilla a drop kick. I was like, oh shit! Like it's, you get a lot of them actually fighting. And I have to give the film credit for realizing, okay, we're selling this on Godzilla vs. Kong. We really need to deliver. And they do deliver. Like credit where it's due. They really do deliver on that aspect. And again, I mentioned the cinematography. But everything else, man, I think the score is very all over the place.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah, there's a couple points. There's the scene where Kong is he's been sedated, and he's on the ship, and they start playing Elvis's "Loving Arms." I really love that song. Like, that's a very good song choice here.
Yeah.
But then when they're in Hollow Earth, they're almost playing this like almost Tenacious D like level rock, and I went, this is a really bad choice here. Like you should have gone for soft orchestra type thing for getting the Hollow Earth. And the whole bit of them going to Hollow Earth, as far as them getting there, I thought the cinematography was really good on that, using those machines, those heave machines, which the Hollow Earth aerial vehicles, which sure, okay. but I love that whole sequence, and that leads to that scene of Kong staying on the edge of the cliff and like touching like the rocks floating above him. Cinematography on that is great, and there are just those moments I went, this really works. There's also that scene of I think it's Jaya. I've been saying Jaya, if that's wrong. Sorry.
Is it Jia or Jaya?
I think it's Jaya. But that scene of her going to talk to Kong in the rain, and Kong like points his finger down E.T. style. Yeah. And the way that was shot, I went, okay, like this has some of the most beautiful shots in the movie I've seen so far this year, which I'll be real, was a very big surprise for me. I was like, wow, okay.
Agreed. I think the same thing. I just wanted to add the opening shot of Kong, where I was almost getting like Guardians of the Galaxy opening vibes, where it was kind of like a
I get what you mean.
I don't remember what the track was, but it was more of like a 70s track, and Kong's like kind of waking up, and he like takes a shower, and he like pulls a tree out and sharpens it and just chucks it at the the enclosure that he's in. Like there's moments like that where the score like really matches, but then like you said, like even in some of like the fight scenes, you're like, what are they playing right now? Like it's just kind of, it didn't match for me.
No, agreed. And so the fights really do work for me. The last big fight between Mechagodzilla, Kong, and Godzilla really worked for me as well. But I do have to jump back to some stuff that I just didn't like. So
feel free.
The whole Apex Corporation, they spent presumably billions of dollars on this like tunnel that's able to transport
oh my gosh
materials from one spot to another. But the place where Mechagodzilla is being held, there is not an ounce of security. You can just walk in the room like it's nothing. And every door, and this is just one of those big evil corporation things in films that bothers me, and I admit it's a personal peeve. But every door just opens the moment you're inside.
It's like Star Wars. You're like on the Death Star, and you're just like, you know, like walking around. Doors are opening. You're kind of like slipping in and out. And I didn't even see one guard. So
there are two, but they're like out of frame. Yeah,
right.
They're out of frame quick.
But so like the team of Madison, Bernie, and Josh are like, they've decided. Well, Bernie and Madison have decided. Madison, I guess specifically, has decided that they want to break in and like find out what's going on, because they're, you know, Bernie's this conspiracy theorist, and he's like, oh, this is connected to this, and this is connected to this. Josh is like, you guys are fucking crazy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But they sneak in through like a cargo ship on this underground like highway that they show the speed limit. It's like 600 to 700 miles an hour. And how they're not dead, I don't know. How they're not like jelly jammed to the backside of this cargo ship is beyond me. And not even to the point of them like slipping onto that thing unnoticed. And it was just like, and they kind of stumble into the arena where the Mechagodzilla is, and like it's just way too convenient and easy. And you know, I think you could probably argue that I would bitch about it if they took forever on it and like they made it a whole thing, but it was just so like it was so ridiculously easy for a group of children essentially and Bernie to just not even hack their way, just slip their way into this, you know, multi-billion trillion dollar corporation who's supposed to be this like ultra top secret corporation. Like that's like the whole thing, is that it's nobody knows about it, but they were able to find it and slip in. So that was one of my biggest gripes with this movie.
Agreed. And something else that for the plot really does bother me. So the way they get to Hollow Earth, they have to show, you know, these, you know, the ships and all that they take down. But then Godzilla, at a point when he gets to Hong Kong, just burrows through the earth like it's nothing. So in theory, you didn't need Kong to actually get you to Hollow Earth. You could just start drilling somewhere, and eventually you would have just hit Hollow Earth.
Didn't Godzilla just like shoot his laser mouth like thing into the? Didn't he do? Isn't that how we got there, or did he actually burrow, or did he like dig?
So they actually dug, because that's where Kong like kind of led them to it, but. Because remember, that's where he gets the axe and puts it in the ground, and then
no, yeah. Oh, so you're saying they had already dug that?
Yeah. So I'm like, why the fuck do you need Kong then? Really, you don't really, because
that's so true.
Because they make a giant point of Kong has to lead us to it, but once they burrow, they kind of just don't really follow him. They just kind of go like, all right, let's fly around a little bit. There it is. Like
they follow him to his like little palace or whatever it was, and like his home, I guess, like his birthplace, maybe. But
but they really undercut
like his only. And then they like kind of throw in the axe thing there, and don't. it's just a lot. Like, that's the thing about these kind of movies where it's like, let's just make like an energy force, right? And that's like
Yeah.
that's what everybody's after, is like, okay, now now Apex want that to create the Mecha Godzilla, but it's actually not a thing. It's in his tools or whatever. But when he's fighting, he can lose it. Like, you have to charge it. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just like this wishy-washy element of this movie that they can kind of do whatever they want with. And I get it, because it's like whatever, like this big fun action movie. But if you're trying to really be scientific or like explain it, or because like part of this is that's what they're trying to do. It's like, oh, we have to get through this. We have to take these specialized vehicles, break through this barrier, get to the Hollow Earth, which I thought was beautiful. Like,
Hollow Earth is beautiful.
The way that they showed that, and that it was almost like Vertigo a little bit, where you had like the, mountaintops touching each other, and the way that Kong was able to like go to the mountaintop and jump to the other side. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, this like I said, that whole energy force idea was, I feel like it wasn't played out very well.
No, I agree. And the other thing I will just say, just aesthetically, it doesn't make sense that where Kong's home is, for it to be that technologically advanced. You know what I mean? Like, there's that was something I just went, for this being Kong, I would have preferred this to look more tribal, more primitive
absolutely.
in setup.
Yeah, it was more of like space, like spacey, space age technology, not like a rock and hammer type deal. I agree. Because isn't that what now I want to say Gia. How did you
Jaya?
Yeah. Because
Jaya,
she's from those natives, right? Isn't she? She is of those people.
Yes,
and that's very, very native, and like I wish they would have stuck with that as well.
Agreed. And last thing I will say, I actually I've got a couple more here. So when Kong and Godzilla are just destroying or beating the shit out of each other in Hong Kong, there's not a police person, there's not a helicopter, there is nothing anywhere close to the fight. No National Guard, no army, nothing. And I'm just sitting there watching, going, okay, no one's coming. No one's gonna even attempt to try to, like, really? Like, that was something that, honest to God, did take me out of the movie. Because, dude, fuck, I mean, like, cops show up for way less than that shit. Like, so the fact, hey, they're two giant titans destroying the fucking city.
Agreed. I would counter that, just to be devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I would say that they already know that they can't do shit. Like, like the beginning of the movie, like, he was just destroying battleships like it was nothing. But it was weird that there weren't like planes or helicopters at that point. Like,
exactly.
They were all there. All of that was present for the other fights, but not this like ultimate showdown.
Exactly. And that's something I just went, all right, guys, like, come on, y'all. And the villain, who the main villain, who's played by Demian Bashir, who plays Walter Simmons, his whole motivation. So first off, Kong is the one, not Kong, sorry, Godzilla is the one who's being provoked. But it seems like he's being provoked just to prove that Mechagodzilla can beat Godzilla, which
so like they created Mechagodzilla to defeat him, but by trying to create him, they've like, how does Godzilla know that? Like, so it's just like a feeling, like it's like he just feels that they're creating his arch nemesis. I didn't really understand that part.
I'll be real, I wasn't clear.
Okay,
that was something.
I didn't know. That was something I was
kind of like, because they kept saying he was provoking Godzilla. I was like, all right, well, they did. Well, they had that other skull of the Monster Zero.
Oh, that's right. No, that's true. Okay.
So I think that's probably how they were provoking him. But then that leads to the giant plot hole of what the actual fuck of him going through all this to potentially kill Godzilla if he shows up again, but you're provoking Godzilla, so why do you really need Mechagodzilla in the first place?
Right.
You could easily fix that by doing what you did with Kyle Chandler. Like, say that Walter lost his wife and be like, hey, I've lost family because of... Dude, fucking pull Captain America Civil War. I lost family because of the last time Godzilla was here. You know, what
like he has some sort of vendetta, not just some crazy rich dude.
Yeah, because when the moment he goes, oh, I'm willing to take on this burden, because Madison goes, you know, you provoked him, you brought him here, and he goes, oh, well, I alone have given humanity a chance against the Titans, you know, which, by the way, if I'm one of the people who built that, I go, fuck you, dude. Like, apparently your engineers don't mean shit. But
well, it's just kind of the way that he treated Ren, which is like who's like the pilot of this, who really gets kind of screwed over in this whole thing. He's just another puppet.
You're not lying. And to that point, when they get the Hollow Earth energy, Ren is the only. So first off, they're able to
they download it like it's a fucking MP3. Like,
so quick.
Like, dude, what is
I have my computer tower it's a great fucking tower, and my shit doesn't download that quick. I was like, come on, y'all, really? Like, that was something I definitely giggled at. But But the part, because Ren is the only one who goes like, yeah, we haven't, or not Ren, someone else goes like, we haven't tested this technology. We don't know how it'll react. And,
no, yeah, that was him, because he's the pilot. That was Ren.
That's right, yeah. But Walter goes, you know, just put on the goddamn helmet, and I went, dude, leave. Like, don't, like, but that's a chance to have Walter shoot him himself and go, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Like,
right, and then he really becomes that crazy
exactly
person. Yeah.
But they couldn't even do that right. It's like, goddamn, people. Like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to give this movie, you know, some rope, but at a point.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just sitting here thinking, you know, are we criticizing this too much for what it is? Should we be viewing it like a Pacific Rim, where it's like, you know, take it at face, we're diving too deep into it, but then I think about it, and the movie really attempts to go deeper into it. Like,
yes,
it's if they just wanted to do a you know, monster movie, like do Rampage again, then they could have done that without trying to go into all this, you know, backstory and the MonsterVerse. It's almost like they're restricted by the MonsterVerse, that they have all these, you know, details that they have to get into. And then that really takes away from it, which was the best part. And I think that we're really bashing on this, or at least I am. I didn't hate this movie. Like,
oh no, I didn't hate it. Like,
this wasn't something that made me mad. It wasn't like I was like I said before, pleasantly surprised by this. But if you really like wanted to like get into this movie, like, there are some major problems, and the major one being, which you can go into, is the climax and how they defeat it.
So yeah, I'll be real, made me go, oh fucking come on, because while Madison is yelling like, we have to do something, why don't you do something, bitch? No, you're the men.
So this is the final climax scene where like Kong is down and Godzilla is like, Godzilla is battling Mechagodzilla, and they're like kind of taking turns on him. But clearly, the Mechagodzilla is way stronger than both of them.
Yeah, and well, we didn't talk about the fact that Kong got knocked out by Godzilla and was dying, and and so I'm sitting here watching it. I went, "Oh God, you're gonna do one of two things. You're either gonna have the girl legitimately be a Kong whisperer and be like, get up,' and he'll like get up,
right? Or like the power of love."
Yeah, and I'll be real, I would have greatly preferred that option to what we got. You have Nathan, who, by the way, he's been pretty fucking useless for most of the movie, goes, oh, I can use one of the ships and use it as a giant resuscitator.
Yeah, it's like a defibrillator. Like,
yeah, thank you.
What the hell?
To wake Kong up. And here's the thing, man. My thing is, have him do that, as silly as it is, but then go, oh, he doesn't have enough power. Like, he has to, turn the ship's voltage up or whatever. And so then you have, like, at least a hero moment there. Like, he has to sacrifice himself for the better, Independence Day, as it were. Kind of like the Randy Quaid stuff. And they couldn't even do that. Like, oh, God. And so, yeah, you get to see Kong and Godzilla, beat Mecha Godzilla. I did appreciate how Kong ripped the head. That is something I went, that's a great shot.
That is like my favorite Kong move. Like, I love that is his finishing move. Like, not just tearing it off, but like in Skull Island, like he would take their mouth and like rip it all the way open so that it exposes their whole, like he rips their head in half. And, like, that is the coolest finishing move ever.
Yeah, I do love that. It's a pretty badass finisher. But yeah, man, just to get to final thoughts here, before actually, never mind, I was gonna bring up that one thing. So to beat Mecha Godzilla, I can't remember the line before, but that's what it is. Bernie says something about alcohol, and Josh goes, alcohol. And the moment he said alcohol, I looked at my roommate and went, oh, for fuck's sake, if he's about to pour that flask out. And yep, apparently that's all it took, just this little bit of booze, which isn't a lot, by the way. It's maybe a shot's worth, maybe 2 shots worth. Pours it in the on the machine, and Mechagodzilla. That's all. You know what it made me think of? It made me think of the one SpongeBob where Plankton builds Robo Crabs, and there's the penny slot, and that's all it takes to make it self-destruct. And at least that's a fucking cartoon. It's supposed to be funny. This shit, I went, So
there's a part in that where Josh is like trying to hack it, and clearly he doesn't know what he's doing, and Madison's like come on, do it. Like, what are you doing? He's like, well, it's like, I know HTML. And I was like, that's some funny shit right there. Like,
yeah,
he's like, I learned HTML at camp. Like you fucking idiot, you don't know what you're doing. But that was like some reality, and then he literally pours the liquor in like there's like some slots above the keyboard he's working on, and it's like, wait a second, I know what to do.
Hi George, I think he's got it. Yeah, it's fucking dumb, man. That shit, I just went, guys, come on. But again, here we are. But getting more final thoughts, goddamn, like, the more I think about it, yes, is this dumb? My fucking God. Yes, this is stupid. And I've had arguments with friends of mine already who are like, oh man, this is so much fun. Like, but look, y'all, if you're going to apply that logic here, it's the Transformers logic. It's the same thing you hear about those fucking movies outside of Bumblebee. Like, come on, Hunter, they're just giant robots. Why do the humans have to care? Because you have humans in this. You have to address that. You can't just go, it's a monster movie, and just wipe everything else off the board. That's not how criticism works. So, goddamn it. So, yeah, are the human, like, the thing for me, I'll say, if you could take the action here and for me combine it with the character development of Kong Skull Island, you'd have a perfect Monsterverse movie for me. Yeah. And they just cannot seem to get the formula where both of those things are in the same film. And my biggest frustration comes from the fact that I think this film is a rewrite away from being a good film as far as a floor, and they just didn't care enough to get there. So I'm gonna give this
it's a hard grade for this one.
It is, man, because
it's enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie, like it's an enjoyable movie. If, like, you get what you want out of it.
Yeah, but I have to criticize it at the same time. Yeah. So I'm gonna fall right where I do with I'm gonna give this a C+. I think that's fair. I think for what this is, because I believe I don't remember what I gave Kong Skull Island. I think I gave it a B+ or an A-. So I would stand by either of those grades. For me with this though, there will be someone who takes the action scenes and just cuts that together on YouTube, and I'll get high and I'll watch that shit maybe on loop, because that shit will be great to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to watch some human shit in here, and that it just it clogs the works up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I said, there is stuff here to enjoy. This isn't even close to as bad as King of the Monsters or Lord help us, that 90s Godzilla movie. but it's just disappointing because you see the glimpses of what could have been a good, if not a great film. So yeah, C+ for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right where you're at. I think I enjoyed there's more characters that I enjoyed than you. I think I liked Josh a little bit better, and Bernie was okay. He was like, I feel like they couldn't decide what kind of character they wanted him to be.
That's very accurate. Yeah.
But I love him as an actor.
Same.
And Millie Bobby Brown was not very good. I like Rebecca Hall in this. I think Eileen was a really great character, especially in her interaction with Gia.
Yeah.
Why can I not think of that? Anyway, so I think a lot of my grade here goes into my expectations, and they were fairly low for this. I just can't overstate, like, it's a really beautiful film. Like,
it really is.
The cinematography, like the action, the scenery, like nothing seems like cheap and like, oh, that's like some cheap ass CG. Like sometimes movies will kind of mail it in and that, try to save some money. But they definitely took their time with that. And it just I think I was so much more drawn to Kong and his discovery of all this stuff and him trying to figure out where he's from than the people that were taking him there, or the human, like you said, the human side of this, where like what their motives were. This was a tough one, like I said, like, because like I enjoyed it to an extent, but there were definitely moments where I was brought out of it, either because of the acting or because like it just didn't make sense, or they expected me to know like this, certain theory that carried over from the previous movie. Now I'm not blaming them because I didn't see the last Godzilla, but I'm just saying these kind of movies, you don't need to like include so much backstory, but there needs to be some refresher so that you're not pulled out of the movie while you're trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm gonna give this a B-. I think it was enjoyable overall. Like I love the fight scenes, and I think if you do this movie, you have to get that right? You have to.
Agreed.
You have to get the action right. You have to get those two main characters that is in the title. You have to get that right, and I believe that they did. So I have to give them credit for that. So yeah, I got to go B+. I think I would.
Whoa, you said B-. You said B-.
B-. Excuse me, B-.
Easy. I was about to be like, what, B+?
Top 10 list? Top 10?
Yeah.
No, I think I would recommend this to people, but with a caveat. This is definitely one to like, go to your local dispensary and buy some delicious bud and smoke it and watch this movie too. But overall, it could definitely be improved upon for sure.
Agreed. And the thing is, man, I mean, now granted, I haven't been in a theater since, last January. April. So, I mean, I would go see this. I'd go see this on a big screen. I honestly would. I'd pay the $12 or whatever, because the action stuff, seeing this in IMAX, I think would be a fucking experience.
This wasn't shot for 3D or anything, was it? Because there were some moments. So. There were some moments where it's like they were kind of reaching out, or like there was some huge explosion and you felt like it was kind of coming at you. I didn't know if they were meant it that way, but yeah, I agree. Seeing this, it might be a different experience in a theater.
Agreed. But like I said, I would tell people, to your point, I would tell people to watch this with the caveat of knowing what sort of film you're getting into.
Right.
Agreed. But yeah, but this is on HBO Max until April 30th. I'll watch this again at some point before it leaves HBO Max, because again, the action stuff worked for me, and I put this on, and Mr. Katzen, when Godzilla first showed up, his eyes, like, his ears perked, like, oh shit. Like, so I did get some entertainment out of that, but yeah, but Godzilla vs. Kong. By the way, oh yeah, that's the last thing I'll say. Godzilla just lets Kong up at a point where he's beaten him, and agreed. I went, Godzilla's been smashing everything in this fucking movie, and he goes, "Oh, I'm good." I went, "Really?"
He could have killed Godzilla in like this first fight scene that they're in.
Yeah, and I just kind of went, "All right, that's sure," but you know, I digress. But Godzilla vs. Kong. Everyone, what did you think? Let us know what you thought in the comments. You can like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Don't forget to like our gaming page, Real Pineapple Games, on Facebook as well. I'm going to finally start streaming something here in the next couple weeks. I will, as we get closer to 420, because I'm getting my second COVID shot, so I'm going to see how I feel after that. But going to be streaming here by the end of the month. I'm really excited to see, to figure out what I'm going to stream. Might be Cyberpunk, we'll see. But don't forget to follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter at
Newman the First.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, to name a couple, at The Real Pineapple. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We will have reviews up for I Care a Lot, as well as a review for The Father and The Courier, which I'm really excited to get those uploaded for all of you. And once the season's end, we'll have reviews up for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I'm so excited to talk about that. Don't fuck it up, Marvel. We'll have reviews up for that. And I actually started watching the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, and I'm not going to lie, I'm liking that show much more than I probably should be.
Is it Knuckle Puck time or what?
Sadly, no Kenan Thompson, no Knuckle Pucks yet. But they do have a black kid, so maybe it's, you know, maybe it's hereditary. Maybe he's, maybe he taught him the Knuckle Puck off screen and we don't know it yet. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Please take care of each other. Stay safe, wear a mask, get your COVID shot, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.